Maria Schwartz alongside Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr Show, where it's all about the W. We are in the thick of it. No more undefeated teams. The Commissioner Cup is around the corner, and All-Star is just a mere month away. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community, patreon.com/Winsidr. That's patreon.com/Winsidr. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. And don't forget to see our amazing staff's written content over at winsidr.com. That's winsidr.com. In preparation for this season, we expanded our content on a variety of social media platforms. Make sure you're following Winsidr on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, and YouTube. Welcome back to the show. Excited to be here. Before we dive in, I do want to alert our listeners, if you don't know already, Winsidr has some amazing content that we've been producing, but also not only just this podcast. There's another great podcast hosted by Jazz and Ace. They've been rocking it, crushing it. Sideline Sisters. Make sure you check it out. It's a great show. I listen to it, and I don't listen to many podcasts, so that's my seal of approval. And also coming up, we have our newsletter coming out in the very near future. So if I were you, I'd pay attention and I'd get ready to sign up because we got some really cool stuff going on over there. All right. Welcome back to the show. Excited to be here. Rachel, lots to discuss. We just got off the live stream on the Bleacher Report app. Make sure you check it out, Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern. I've just been doing ads for the last minute and a half. Rachel, where's your head at so far in this WNBA season?
First and foremost, we have no more undefeated teams. I think it's been a really interesting couple of weeks in terms of Commissioner Cup type of scenarios. I know that's all going to be kind of taken care of tonight. No point in me going through it because I'm sure we're going to release this after we already know who is in the Commissioner Cup finals. But
well, then Rachel, let's predict. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious and easy to predict that Minnesota beats Vegas without Asia. Obviously, saying that maybe jinxes it for them, which would mean Minnesota clinches it. If Minnesota loses, seems like Seattle does.
Well, I think, Atlanta would clinch if they're able to beat Liberty tonight. I don't know if Liberty's losing this game coming off a loss to the Fever. I would be shocked, and this could be a statement moment for the Dream in terms of really getting my attention and them, taking this potential thing to the next level. New York will clinch with a win, and if Indiana loses...
Indiana's playing Connecticut. So
I'm not saying the Fever losing to Connecticut.
Exactly. That would be the biggest shock to me.
Indiana clinches with a win, and if Atlanta loses. So if Indiana wins tonight, which they would have to beat the Sun, and then Atlanta loses to the Liberty, that is probably the more likely scenario for the Eastern Conference. Do you agree? I'm going Indiana.
Yeah, no, it's going to be Indiana, Minnesota, which will be really fun to watch. It's
weird. It's weird. It's wild that we're not talking about the Liberty in this scenario, but again, it's that head-to-head, which it's just fascinating.
Well, it's also the point differential.
Point differential too.
So it's a matter of head-to-head, when you played, who you've played, and point differential. Another big. So all right, we're going with the same one. You know what? I'll throw a clog into it. Atlanta beats New York. Atlanta moves on. That's what I'm going with. Because I could see it. JJ is going to be on a minute restriction. They've got the strength and size. They have a variety of style of play.
Good game.
It's going to be a test for Sabrina and Natasha Cloud to match the offensive firepower of Ryan Howard, Jordan Canada, and Alicia Gray, who's just balling right now. So that'll be really interesting. Another headline we definitely need to talk about, Lee Uru traded from the Storm to the Dallas Wings. A lot of chatter about it. It seemed pretty obvious and clear that the push to get this trade happening was like the Chinese Federation basketball, because for those who don't understand, a lot of times when players are coming over, there's less control, or the players, there's so much that goes into it. A lot of times we talk about the national commitments, the national team commitments, and how those impact things. What people have to understand also is when it comes to specifically Chinese players, there's a lot more control that the government and the federation has over if these players are playing. a lot of times it's not widely reported, but I think we both can say this openly, that there's times where players are told you're not allowed to go overseas to play in the W, excuse me, because you're not going to play enough minutes and we want you home training for whatever tournament's upcoming. The other times, and like this is a semi-open thing, so or maybe it's fully open. They've said like we expect you to play X amount of minutes so you can grow in the W. That will be good and beneficial for our national team in our national league. And it became very clear she wasn't getting the minutes. She logged a complaint. The reply was wait a few more games. They waited a few more games, wasn't doing. And now we're at the point where the trade goes through, and now there's a big opportunity because Tierra McCowan's temporarily suspended overseas playing in Eurobasket. They need some size. They need some depth. They've been playing Maisha Hines-Allen at that 5. Melissa Smith has not been producing in ways that they could have hoped. So they need size. A great opportunity for a player to play with, some elite ballers in Enrique and Paige and a handful of other really good role
and
players.
Obviously a franchise searching for answers right now.
So if you're going to get minutes, right? If it's a team that is searching for answers, let anyone get an attempt and see if you can pull out some minutes.
Yeah, I mean, especially after that loss to Las Vegas, and that was just an absolutely gut-wrenching, heartbreaking loss for Dallas. I think that was their last game. No, maybe not. I don't remember.
Yeah, no, it was.
Who was their last game? Yeah,
88-84.
When do they play again?
They played the Aces. Tonight they're playing the Valkyrie, then they have the Sun, then the Mystics. And then, so these next 3 games are winnable games for them. I have a question for you, though, because, and now we didn't prep on this. It's just something that popped into my head while we were talking about this. I noticed the Dallas Wings have played a large amount of games. I know most teams are kind of catching up now, but there's a period of time where they were at like 11, 12 games. Other teams are only at like 9. They've played a lot of games in a short period of time. We saw that again last year with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese coming out of their draft. I'm curious for you, if you were the commissioner and you're trying to balance this, cashing in on these big names coming into the league, but also longevity and product, where does your head kind of fall in? Like, should there be some sort of discussion topic, or is this just too crazy to adjust the schedule so the star rookie coming into the league is not, it seems like the number 1 pick is for the past like 4 years has been playing a crazy amount of early games in this season. Do you think that's something the league should pay attention to, or is it just like that's how the schedule is?
I think they are paying attention to it by, essentially trying to get them exposure and get them thrown out into the fire and like that's what they're trying to do. They want people tuning in to watch Paige Beckers and Caitlin Clark. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether it's right or if it's wrong, if it's bad or indifferent. I mean, I'm just going back right now and looking at Dallas's start of the season. They played Seattle, then they played Minnesota 2 days later, played Atlanta 3 days later. I mean, also we've never played this many games in a season. So like, I don't know. I mean, they had a little bit of a break here after that game on Friday, a few days to kind of recoup and recover. There's just not a lot of gaps in a WNBA season to be able, I mean, and here's one thing. I mean, I feel like Dallas has had an opportunity to be at home a lot. I mean, it feels like they're home every other time I turn on the television. I mean, I guess they've only played five games, but they're 0-5 at home. I mean, you can't defend your home court and take care of business there. They go on the road and they play at Chicago twice, lose those games. That's a winnable game. I don't know. I don't feel like they had this gauntlet start of a season. I also know, like, even last year with Caitlin Clark, like, I think from a league and an operations perspective, they've got to be able to get these types of games and that type of draw on television. And then, throw them into the fire. Welcome to the WNBA. Let's see how you adapt, I think, is kind of just what this league has to be in some ways, shape, or form. I don't know if you feel differently, but I don't feel like there's this massive draw to like, we've got to make this easier for these rookies. And I don't know.
No, I'm with you on that.
Welcome to the big
we don't
league.
Make things easier for them. Like, the schedule isn't made knowing this team is, is going to end up because trades happen, all these crazy things happen.
I just know Dallas has had opportunities with and without Paige being in the equation. And so, I mean, like, I don't think anybody I don't care if you are a media member, if you are a like hater of the Dallas Wings organization because you've had to watch this franchise so much for the last however many years. Like nobody could have expected this type of brutality from the way they've started the season. There's too much talent on this team. Um, it, their issues are much deeper than just like, oh, yeah, like we reloaded wrong in the offseason, or we should or we shouldn't have brought this player in. I mean, like I said, it's when you look at a team like the Connecticut Sun, the Washington Mystics, these the Golden State Valkyrie, who are literally sitting here sixth in the WNBA standings right now because they're just tough and they're connected and they play hard. There's no reason Dallas is 1-11 right now with the talent
Yeah.
that's on that roster. I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but here we are.
Well, anytime you mention Dallas Wings, it's going to happen. Another team that's struggling early on, you probably don't even want to talk about it. Fine, whatever. Just I need to bring it up because I'm sounding some sort of alarm, blowing the dog whistle, whatever it is. Las Vegas Aces are struggling right now. They're not top 5 in any meaningful stats other than blocks, where they're ranking 5th. And steals per game, where they're similarly ranking 5th. Like what they're allowing opponents to do is troublesome. It's just they're not. It's struggle fest right over there. You have Asia Wilson out with concussion protocol, not going to be back. We're recording today, Tuesday. They're playing tonight. She won't be back for that game. Hopefully, she'll be back for the next game. But the issues are not just going to be solved when Asia Wilson comes back. This isn't like, oh, we've been playing amazing and then Asia's out and then we lost a bunch of games. Now we're 500. Like, you were struggling before that, but when you have Asia Wilson, that obviously gives you a larger opportunity to win games. Her defense is elite. Her offense is elite. Yeah. I guess for you, what do you need to see from the Aces? Is it something that you can see in a single game, or do you need a handful? What do you need to see from the Aces to not be concerned? Because we know we're all concerned, different levels of concern, but what do you need to see to not be concerned?
Well, first and foremost, I think when Asia Wilson is not in the game, like I consider it a completely different team, because everything about this franchise is designed to fall on the back of Asia Wilson, which is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of whatever. We know she can handle it. She's the greatest player in the world, but she's out right now. And so now you just got this team, led by honestly, veteran rookies who know how to win games. Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, Jewel Lloyd, and a very, very short bench, which we've been saying for what feels like 5 years now. I guess like right now, like I was starting to feel like this is really not looking good at all. And then I was a little bit encouraged after they were able to come back and beat Dallas. That game on Friday, I was watching it and I was just thinking to myself, okay, this is a turning point for the Dallas Wings. They're going to be able to come in here, get a little momentum, get out of here with a win. Okay, we're feeling good. We're going in the right direction. And then it was a complete implosion in the fourth quarter of like epic proportions. You had a team that looked disconnected, the challenging call with Dejanay Carrington and Chris Kaklanis.
She's arguing with, for people who don't know, she's yelling at her coach. Dejanay Carrington's yelling at Chris Kaklanis, challenge the play. The ball gets inbounded, right? Yeah, and she's still complaining.
Yeah, but like he's like standing there, like looking at his bench. I think kind of waiting for like his secondary or whatever support staff to like look at the film and give him a heads up, like wasn't trusting that that's what she wanted. And so they're having this interaction and he's waiting and she's like pleading with him. And then the ball goes inbounded and Vegas scores.
She's continuing to plead while the play goes on. Now let's also keep in mind, how many fouls did she have in the fourth?
Literally 6, which that's impressive in its own self.
So, and I don't want to take away from like, we do this sometimes, right, Rachel? When we talk about it, no, where a team loses.
I'm going to bring it back to Las Vegas. I promise.
No, I know. But so my thing is like, we do this sometimes where we put a win more on the team that lost than the team that won, or vice versa. And so like, to me, this was more of a Dallas falling apart. Like Vegas had to do the right moves the right plays, have that continuity and that calmness in the moment. But I feel like it was more about Dallas just crumbling in the moment.
I guess what I was encouraged with about that game was the toughness that Jackie Young played with. Literally like running over, ripping the ball out of someone's arms
Doing
and
everything.
just taking matters into her own hands. She didn't play exceptionally great. Yeah, she had 28 points, but she had 6 turnovers, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. She was the one, in my opinion, that set the tone from a toughness perspective late in that game. I didn't see Las Vegas fold or just kind of let go,
Yeah.
like I think we've seen time and time before. And so I was encouraged to see Las Vegas kind of bow up and be tough late in that game, even when things hadn't gone their way and things were really, really not pretty. And obviously, anytime you have Jewel Lloyd being efficient and consistent, 21 points, 5 of 8 from the 3-point line, 7 of 13, okay, I like Las Vegas's chances. Part of the reason why I think Las Vegas has struggled so much this year is, they're last in the league in field goal percentage. They're not making shots. This is not a team that is doing things that have had a winning formula that we've been able to see from the past. They're 7th in scoring, 9th in opponent's point per game. So they're at the lower portion of the league, giving up 83 points per game. So they're not defending at the rate at the expectation of the franchise. Dead last in field goal percentage, 12th in field goals made per game, only making about 26 shots an entire game. And they're dead last in the league in assists per game, only averaging just under 16 assists per game.
And you have Chelsea Gray,
right?
Who's supposed to be one of the best point guards in the league.
Yeah, and so I understand what you're saying about Dallas and okay, maybe they just fell apart and Vegas capitalized, but I think 2 things can be true at once. Dallas fell apart, Las Vegas pounced, they capitalized, they didn't fold. They didn't allow, the frustration of that game to run away with it. And they came out with a big win that they had to have without the greatest player in the world, A'ja Wilson. And so I was encouraged by that. Is it realistic to think that they were going to go beat a Phoenix team that's now at full strength? They lose by 6. I guess I'm at a point now where my take on Las Vegas right now is it's the same type of thing year after year for the last couple of years. Becky Hammon has been talking about that toughness, that edge, that how are we going to respond? I haven't seen Vegas respond in a great, aggressive, pissed off way. The people who've been following the league for so many years are accustomed to watching this Las Vegas franchise from a toughness standpoint, a gritty standpoint, a chip on your shoulder. We're pissed off. We have something to prove. The world is against us and we're going to just absolutely step on your throat. And but that has not been this team for the last year and a half. And, I just haven't seen it collectively. I'm not talking A'ja Wilson. A'ja Wilson played that way last year. Did the rest of the team? No, I don't think so, in my opinion. Consistently enough to go win a championship? No. Do I see that from this team this year? No. And again, I just think that it's been a lot of change the last couple of years. I think you have a franchise that was building. We got to championship contention. Let's run it back as many times as we can. Okay, changes are starting to happen. Now let's patch it up and see if we can try to run it back, but it's not really going to work because that just isn't how things work. I think we're going to see a massive overhaul and a massive change with the franchise after this season.
Yeah, and it'll be very, very interesting to see how this team goes about it. I don't know if we talked about this last week.
I would give A'ja Wilson, Jackie Young, whatever they want. Everyone else is for a fair game.
Well, no, but this is what I mean is no offense to those players. They're not GMs.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Give them whatever they want. But at a certain point, this team needs a direction. Since Dan Padover and Bill Laimbeer left,
well, they need a GM.
They need a GM, but they need someone who's going to guide the direction. Let's be honest, Natalie Williams was not doing that. What were her big claims to fame as the GM? It was re-signing players that Dan and Bill brought in at team-friendly deals because they knew they were running back. They were trying the same thing. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens there. We could go on, do many episodes on that. Another big topic over the past week, obviously Caitlin Clark comes back. But before we talk about that, New York and Minnesota both lose, and I will submit to you a big aspect of why they both lost that's not getting enough attention is Leone Fibic is going to be gone for Eurobasket. Obviously, JJ was missing also. But what Fibic brings to this lineup with the 3-point shooting, forcing teams to play a little bit more one-on-one versus being able to double teams, triple, trap, all those things. And then on the Minnesota side, they lost to Seattle. Impressive win by Seattle. A little bit of a fall apart from Minnesota late, but they're missing Jessica Shepard, who has been a Swiss Army knife, for the old school fans, a Rebecca Brunson, for the newer school fans, an Alyssa Thomas for this team, paired with Nafisa Collier. So obviously a little bit, Minnesota bounces back, just dominant win over LA. We're going to see what happens with New York tonight. We're recording before they play Atlanta. Really interesting game there. JJ is going to be back. Minutes restriction, taking on that big front court and highly touted guard play. I don't know where you want to go with this. If you want to talk about both those teams losing, no longer undefeated, or if you want to talk about Caitlin Clark's ridiculous game back.
I think, I didn't expect anybody to go undefeated this season. And so, I think the game of the week, in my opinion, and the most exciting game that was, the buzz and the hype was the Fever being able to beat, New York. And that was a dynamic win. I think Caitlin Clark put on an absolute show, 32 points, just shy of a triple-double, 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 7 of 14 from the three-point line. What did she make? 3 threes in like 38 seconds.
Yeah, it was wild.
It's made for TV entertainment. Clark doing her thing and being able to do it like on her first game back from, being out was impressive. And I think the Fever had an opportunity here. It's clear that these New York and Fever matchups are highly entertaining games, right? Like, it's like, okay, when you see that matchup, you're like, I got to watch that. And that's a credit to, where the Indiana Fever franchise is right now, at least, especially like when they're able to be at full strength. I think we haven't quite seen Indiana's peak this year. Maybe this game you could say is the closest to their peak that we've been able to see. I think they were really solid in terms of having 5 players in double figures, and it was different players. Kelsey Mitchell was good to see her get going with 22 points. But like to have Lexi Hull drop 14, Aaliyah Boston, another double-double, Sydney Colson getting involved, Sophie Cunningham getting back into the rotation. And this all happened without Dewana Bonner, who, again, I think is still finding her rhythm and her role with this Fever team. So I think I'm still watching this team. I think obviously it's exciting to have them back, closer to fuller strength with Clark and Cunningham back in the equation. But obviously New York was not at 100%. Jonquel Jones, a walking double-double, and many people who study the New York Liberty franchise really attribute her as like the backbone of this franchise and the engine, that anchors this team. And so that's a huge loss to not have JJ playing, and also Fibich as well. So again, this happens through the course of a season, and credit to the Fever for taking advantage. But I'm not concerned with the Liberty, and I still think they sit at the upper echelon, right at the top in terms of contention, all those types of things. I look forward. I don't know if you have the schedule up right now, but I would look forward to watching these two play again, like when everybody is truly at full strength. Knock on wood that happens.
I will tell you when that happens next, July 16th, hopefully. Okay. Also to note for the Liberty, they have a tough schedule coming up, going up against the Dream, who are on a 3-game win streak tonight. I've talked about that enough. Next episode, we'll react to that. Then they take on the Mercury, then the Storm. Definitely will be interesting. And then they have a nice Valkyrie game, and then Mercury Dream again. So definitely interesting little run for New York. Going to learn a lot about them, yes.
I do want to ask you a little bit about your take on Minnesota. Obviously, like, they're right at the top. We're talking about New York and Minnesota being the favorites, all these types of things. I don't know that we've seen this team play their best basketball yet this season.
At all.
I think it's kind of felt like a common theme where they give you 2.5 solid quarters a game, right? And that game, what was their last loss? Who'd they lose to?
Well, they only lost to Seattle, and it was a complete disappear act.
And that's what it was. It was like they came out in the second half. They go on an 11-1 run. And you could kind of almost feel like the energy or the shoulders or just the body language. Everyone kind of just was like, okay, here we go. We got this taken care of now. Like, we're good. And credit Seattle. And we haven't talked about this game yet today on either of our shows. Like, credit to Seattle. Like, did not do that. Did the exact opposite. Bowed up and played with a lot of emotion. Probably more emotion and just like energy that I've seen out of the Seattle Storm. We see it from Skylar Diggins. I don't think we always see it out of Nneka Ogwumike, and she was really bringing it with like and ones and just like really getting into it. I felt like that was a game. I hadn't seen the Seattle Storm play that well in what felt like 2 or 3 years.
Oh yeah.
And again, like we haven't given him much love today, and so I guess my takeaways from just that matchup and Minnesota's loss was Minnesota has not yet put together a 40-minute great effort, which is scary because like clearly that's
9-1.
you want to be peaking at the right time of the season.
Yeah.
But Seattle, they deserve a lot of credit because this team is legitimate. And I think, when they're connected, like I saw 6-5 on the season, 5th in the standings. I don't know. They're pretty tough, but again, a little bit of inconsistency there too.
Look, I think what we saw first and foremost from Seattle was super impressive. Showed us a glimpse of they can be a contender and what this roster can be. What we didn't see really last year. Maybe we saw some glimpses too. So I want to see kind of string along, make it into more of a consistency versus that. What I saw from them is a lot of fun lineups they can do, a lot of depth they have in the bigs, having Malunga in there, having Ezzy in there, having Nneka in there, rotations really cause trouble for Fee. And I think I could see them also causing trouble for the likes of a JJ, for the likes of a Stewie or an Asia Wilson. So, like, comparing them to the best teams, I think they match up well. We saw a lot of movement. We saw good defense from them.
Yeah, but then they go and they lay loose to the Golden State Valkyries.
Exactly. So where's the consistency? I'm not ready to reveal what my biggest concern with the Seattle Storm are just yet.
Yeah.
We'll get into that a different episode. But on the Minnesota side, I saw them missing a Jessica Shepard, a player who's going to bring that oomph when a team kind of gets into a lull. I saw them playing sloppy, slippery hands, as I kept saying. And yeah, I mean, look, a bounce back was great. We've seen maybe 3/4 of a full good game, like 3/4 of a good game from them, but nothing complete. Cheryl Rivas talked about it over the last week. I think a silver lining right now is that you're getting this out of the way earlier, right? We always talk about as the season goes on, you want to get better and better and better and never peak too early. How bad is it, Rachel? And we've seen this before. The team that loses in the finals starts off the next season red hot, looks like the best team all year long, falls on their face in the playoffs. Minnesota is poised to do something this season. They don't want to put the cart in front of the horse or whatever, the horse in front of the carrot. But I think a secret weapon that they have is being able to get formerly known as Maria Vadiva, can't butcher her last name now, Masha, is a steal. Someone who was ID'd as the top European young star just a few years back, obviously much older. In my opinion, looks a little bit bigger in muscle wise, a little bit more matured wise, has a lot of opportunity, got in some good minutes in that last game going up against LA, a little bit of a revenge game, as it were.
Yeah.
Totally a steal for Minnesota to get her. Minnesota needs depth. They need size. They need muscle with Jessica Shepard out.
It was a great steal, and I'm excited to see what she can do for them.
And imagine that depth where you can pull in Alana Smith, who gets banged up in the paint, and bring Masha in there to do some of their own force. So I think as the season goes on and she gets more comfortable with this team, also they have Kosu. So you have two players who maybe's English isn't as good, speak a language together, have some experience together, can definitely use that. I'm not even like that is an advantage. When you have a singular player who doesn't speak the language with no one else, that is a disadvantage. When you add another player in there, that adds camaraderie, team, family, things like that. So I think Minnesota is very much poised, but it's going to come down to offensive output. Can they continue to score? And honestly, can their defense get better? Something that I know we don't really necessarily have time to talk about today, Rachel, but I want to tease it for next week. Next week, can we spend a 10-minute chunk on the Atlanta Dream?
Yes, we need to. But again, I need to watch more. I say that every week, but I really still feel like I need to watch more of this team. But yes, we need to.
Because the Atlanta Dream,
we can record next week. It's going to depend on my Wi-Fi. So to be determined.
I mean, Rachel, at the end of the day, we're recording. If it's 5 seconds or 2 seconds, Rachel's going to be
starting my international travels this weekend, everybody. So
by far the farthest time difference ever, farthest distance we've ever been apart, Rachel. No,
I know, it's crazy. It's crazy.
That will be crazy. No, but I think the Atlanta Dream will be a really interesting one for us to kind of break down, talk about. Maybe it's not next week, maybe it's in 2 weeks when you're back in town. But the Atlanta Dream, all-star front court. and Bree Jones, a player who was an MVP candidate a couple seasons ago, right? BG, perennial MVP candidate when she's putting it on like she
can. And a backcourt that is absolutely thriving under Carl Smesko right now.
And insanely talented, young, skilled, fast, lanky, speedy, high octane shooting. Like I'm running out of singular, tag words. They're fun to watch. They're fun to see play. It's going to be really interesting to see them have a true test tonight against New York. I feel like I've mentioned that game like 15 times. We're going to have to talk about that game next week, Rachel. Appreciate you as always. And I want to ask Rachel, who do you think? What player is going to score the most points tonight?
What player is going to score the most points? You know what? I'm gonna go with Alicia Gray. She's been on an absolute heater so far this season.
Cool. Well, I'm going to avoid the question. Thank you. We'll see you next week.